Right, come on, let's have it. Second leg of the Europa League semi-final in Bodo Glimt. Spurs have a 3-1 lead and we are taking it to Norway. I am nervous. I'm a little bit of a nervous wreck, as I think a lot of Spurs fans will be. I think there's good reason for that. Not just because Spurs are playing in a semi-final, but because of Bodo Glimt's really, really impressive home record that we're going to talk about in this video. And we're going to talk about how they can hurt us and how they will be looking to beat us. If you're nervous like me, drop a like on the video. If you're excited, drop a like on the video as well, because, you know, it's a semi-final. You've got to be up for it. You've got to be excited. Spurs have got a 2-goal lead, which we will be looking to hang on to. If you are new to the channel, I'm Ben Bowman. Welcome. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Let's get into it, man. I've uploaded a video earlier on today already. This might be coming out on the Thursday. Might be coming out on Wednesday night. So, you know, if it is Wednesday night, you've got double upload day. Regardless of when you're watching it, make sure you go back and watch this video that I did upload earlier on, talking about 5 ways Spurs can replace James Maddison. We obviously got the news confirmed this morning that he was going to be out for the rest of the season. 3 months, kind of, we're looking like probably an MCL type injury, and he's going to be a big miss on a pitch like this, in a situation like this, in a tournament like this, where he has been Spurs' best and most consistent player, in my opinion. So go and watch that. I talked about 5 potential ways Spurs can replace him for this game and beyond that, as well as we look ahead to the Europa League final potentially. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on the task at hand, and let's focus on Bodo Glimt, because their home record in Europe is incredibly impressive. They have won 28 out of their last 34 home games in all European competitions and are on a 5-game winning European home run, with their last victory obviously coming against Lazio. It's going to be tough. Obviously, those 5 wins have come against Lazio, like I said. They've also come against Olympiacos, they've come against FC Twente, they've come against Maccabi Haifa, and they've come against Besiktas. They've also beaten Porto at home in the Europa League this season. They have lost 1 home game in Europe this season, and that came against Qarabağ. And I think some people have tried to sort of myth bust Bodo a little bit and talk about the fact that they might not be as good as people say they are. They have lost to some teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to lose to, given the sort of sides that they have beaten, including Qarabağ. They've lost to FC Twente away from home, but not at home. Zurich, PSV, Lech Poznan and Club Brugge. So they've not beaten those 2 teams. There have been some people saying that people talk about Bodo Glimt, football hipsters talk about them like they're some sort of European superpower. I don't think that's fair, to be honest. I think people are just kind of giving them the credit that they 100% deserve. Their home record has been pretty formidable. Obviously, their artificial pitch has a lot to do with that. Obviously, a lot of people have spoken about the conditions as well. It's not going to be quite sub-zero temperatures like some people have been speaking about. That's what Lazio experienced in their game where they lost 2-0. It's probably going to be about 7 degrees, so slightly warmer. Bring a jacket though if you are going. Well, you'll already be there if you're a Spurs fan. And if you are a Spurs fan in Bodo already, make sure to like the video and drop a comment as well. So it's going to be slightly more tolerable for Spurs. One thing that is interesting to know, actually, let me say one more thing about their home record, just to kind of put it into perspective, right, about, you know, how impressive this is. This is their record at home in Europe since 2020, up until that Porto game that was at the start of the season, their first home game in Europe this season. That's incredible. The teams that they've lost to, Ajax, Club Brugge, PSV, Arsenal went there in the Europa League and only won 1-0 in a group stage game, and Legia Warsaw as well. So that's an incredibly impressive record that they obviously have got. A little bit of history that Spurs will be hoping to not break tomorrow. A 2-goal first leg semi-final deficit has never been overturned since the competition was rebranded as the Europa League in 2009-2010, and you have to go back 37 years when the competition was known as the UEFA Cup for the last time it happened, as Espanyol beat Club Brugge 3-0 at home to win 3-2 on aggregate. So Spurs will be hoping that we don't make history, as we so often love to do in these type of situations. It's going to be, you know, a very unique atmosphere, a very unique conditions, a massive game. And we know that we've struggled on an artificial pitch already this season away at Tamworth, obviously against a team that are far significantly less strong than someone like a Bodo Glimt. And one thing to note as well, obviously, with Bodo is their key players are returning. And we did a video before the game last week kind of talking about the importance of Patrick Berg. And although some of you might have already watched that, I'm going to run through a lot of the similar points now because they're more prevalent. They're here. The game is tomorrow, right? The game is here and it's now, and they will be playing against us. That was kind of just a bit of a lesson on how Bodo might play. But in that first game, but obviously it's going to be different in this second game. In the first game, obviously we let them have possession. We pressed a little bit, but weren't so aggressive in our press, and we did kind of force them into mistakes. But it's going to be them pressing us, I think, at home in this one, especially with them looking to overturn that 2-goal deficit. And the two midfielders that were suspended for the first leg, in Patrick Berg and Hakon Evjen as well, I want to pronounce it, are back. Patrick Berg, like I said before in the previous videos, a regular for Norway, 32 caps, their second most goal contributions in the Europa League this season with 5. And Hakon Evjen is more of an attacking midfielder. He's got 3 goals in the Europa this season. Spoke a little bit before about their striker Kasper Versthog as well, who has 7 goals and 1 assist in the Europa League. Like I said before about Bodo last week, and we saw that in evidence in the first leg, is that they will stick to the way that they want to play. They will do that. They will come out. They will play their football. I think I anticipated them a little bit more last week to kind of sit in and try and, not get battered last week, to take something back to Bodo. And I do think that one goal that they did manage to score could come back to bite Tottenham a little bit in this game, and could be really big for them in terms of confidence and in terms of momentum to take into this one. They beat Lazio 2-0 in the last game they had in the Europa League at home. Obviously, different context, different circumstances. This is a second leg. That was the first leg. This is a semi-final, of course. But they will play their way. And they did that last week. And it cost them a little bit with the mistakes that they made, playing out from the back at times. And obviously, their right back, I think it was Shovjold. I don't want to... apologies, just blanket apology if I butcher pronunciations. Had a lot to say about Tottenham's pressing. And Ange and Vicario have kind of come out in the presser before the game today and have sort of said, look, we're just going to let them do the talking. We'll stick to playing our way. And we are going to have to be very good at playing our way and playing out from the back on this kind of pitch with their press, obviously, as well, which we'll come on to. They were, like I said, against Lazio, though, they were happy to kind of sit in and counter when they needed to. They were controlled in their kind of defensive structure, and they would spring forward and counter-attack. But obviously, that was a first leg, right? This is a second leg where they're going to kind of be chasing the game. But when they would lose the ball, which I'm going to come on to now, they would press effectively. I went through these examples in the first leg, but I think is a good in the first video. Last week, previewing the first leg, but I think it's going to be a good refresher for people. Again, you can see here they've committed men. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players here pressing that Lazio back line. Guendouzi there tries to play the ball out from the right. It comes back inside here to the centre half. He looks up. Bodo's still got 5 men around the ball, trying to kind of hunt that down, and you've got these two here kind of setting that trap. If they are to turn the ball over, they can turn and go. And it's Patrick Berg here who is, from what I've seen, really good at kind of scanning these type of situations. He's kind of the anchor, the base of that midfield that will sit and protect that back four, but he loves to press and he loves to counter-press really effectively. There will be people that will go ahead of him and try and win that ball back, but he is there when the trap is set to pick up the pieces. And that's exactly what happens here as they try to play out. He's scanning it, he's ready, you can see his body language. He's on and he intercepts it. And then Bodo are in a really promising position where they've got players that can then turn into this kind of space here. They've got 4 men or 4 men here in front of Berg that he can either play the ball to, and Berg choose to drive forward. He drives into this space as well, so if you are pressing him, he is good at getting in between spaces, a little bit like Bergvall. He uses that power and physicality to get past people while also being quite slight and hard to get off the ball. He drives it here and they kind of end up recycling it back, and this is something that I touched on in the preview before the first leg. Sitting here, they've got everybody in the Lazio half kind of tucking in. This is Shovjold, the right back, kind of tucking into a back three, and you have then got Berg kind of sitting, screening that ball once they've won it back, and then you've got players in the final third that will look to cause Lazio damage. They work the ball out to the left, and this is what is really impressive with Bodo as well, is that you can see here on that last line, they've got 5 attackers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're going to be brave and commit. I think their right winger is also out here, outshot as well. So you've got players that are going to want to commit, occupying that Lazio back line, ready to make these kind of moves in behind, runs off the ball into space, right? Pulling that Lazio defence apart. Again here, you can see it, another player on the edge of the box here. Forgive me, I don't know his name, but on the edge of the box here, being occupied by the number 5. He then is the one that also makes that move into this space in behind, and they get a chance off the back of it. Like I said, they're pressing, turning the ball over, super, super effective. They won the ball back 29 times in the opposition half versus Lazio in that first leg, the third most this season that they have had in the Europa League. They use Berg as that screen for the back line to make sure they have to make sure they've got numbers back if Lazio were able to play through the press. But he is so good at effectively reading the ball and getting that ball back for Bodo to kind of turn and go. They're really good, intelligent, modern footballing team. They get a chance off the back of it. It's cut back. They've got men arriving in the box and the shot goes wide. But another reason, as I spoke about in the first preview video for the first leg as well with Berg, is what he loves to do so well. Again, Lazio here, kind of in their press. Bodo wanting to play out from the back. Berg peels off the back of the attacker here into the space. That line gets broken. He can then turn. He can go. Here, number 7, Patrick Berg. And what he plays here is a lovely slide rule pass for them to go forward, take in 3 players, Guendouzi and 2 other Lazio players, out of the game. So good. So like I said, again here, it's just that screen for that back line out of possession as well to hover up and hoover up those loose balls, but also that screen in front of them. They know they can trust on the ball. They're going to want to play out from the back. That's why Spurs' pressing is going to have to be top tomorrow as well. They might go long at times to kind of take that artificial pitch out the game and try and win aerial duels against Tottenham, but again, they're used to playing on it, so they're not going to be scared to keep it on the deck as well. I've seen some people responding to some of the training drills that they've been doing, seeing them playing the ball in the air. That might be true. They might try and take the pitch out of the game at times, but they are used to playing on a pitch like this, so it won't faze them. And again, Berg plays that lovely slide rule pass, and they've got runners moving forward. They move it out to the left. Berg, you can see here, joining the attack, but it's lovely, intricate play in and around the box. And I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but was Saltnes not the one that scored against us in the first leg, who gets on the end of it here and scores? Lovely play from Bodo. But yeah, that's what we kind of need to know about them, right? They're counter-pressing, good side, they're effective winning the ball back, they like to play out from the back, and Patrick Berg's return is going to be big. So how do Spurs then combat that, right? This is the team that I would probably go with tomorrow. And I spoke earlier in this video, like I said, about replacing James Maddison, spoke a lot about the midfield and 5 ways that we could potentially do that. One of those I spoke about potentially going to a back 5. I'm not going to spoil it. Go and watch that video after you finish watching this. But I think the one of the options that I did kind of land on, and I think is going to be the obvious solution, is just playing Kulusevski in that number 10. I think it's imperative, given Bodo's desire to press and win that ball back, like I touched on, I think it's imperative to keep this partnership that did really well in the first leg in Basuma and Bentancur. When they're at their best, they are composed in possession and can play out the press. Obviously, Romero going to be super important in this one as well. His line breakers are going to have to be on it. He's going to have to be composed on the ball, which I think he will be. Again, the leadership that he's shown in some of these Europa League knockout games has really come to the fore. I thought he was excellent in Frankfurt. And look, obviously, you know, everyone's going to be wanting Spurs to make a mistake here. Everyone's going to be wanting Spurs to slip up. It's a 2-goal deficit against a team that the media, rival fans are going to be desperate for Spurs to go out to, because it's going to be an absolutely massive story. It'll go hand in hand with the line that Spurs bottled it, especially with the fact that we've got the lead and Bodo Glimt are some tin pot, no mark team, right? That's not what I'm saying. That's what the narrative is going to be if we get knocked out, right? But this is a good football inside that we need to take seriously, and these players need to be at the top of their game. But one thing I will say is that people were desperate for that against Frankfurt as well. You know, not as much, because Frankfurt are a tough test, obviously. Like I said, the narrative wasn't quite the same because, you know, Frankfurt are a respectable team, obviously, as Bodo Glimt are as well, but Frankfurt had that slightly more pedigree. But obviously the narrative was that we weren't going to go away and win at home in Europe, and certainly not doing it playing in the manner that we did. I don't think anybody necessarily expected that. There have been doubts about Tottenham, rightly so, because of how poor we've been in the league. But it's going to amp up even more because people are going to be desperate for Spurs to slip up here. So we've got to be on top of our game. Romero, that discipline has got to be measured, right? Those balls out from the back have got to be perfect into that midfield when Bodo are pressing us, and we know that he's capable of that as well. Van der Ven, again, you do slightly worry about him, you know, fitness-wise on an artificial pitch as well, but again, his desire to bring the ball out from the back has got to be good. We shouldn't be afraid to kind of go long as well to bypass their press, which is why Dom Solanke's fitness is obviously going to be a big factor in this. He should be fine for the game. He has travelled, which is obviously a massive plus. So his ability to kind of win those duels and win those battles when Spurs do decide to go long to get past the Bodo press, as we saw in the first leg as well, is going to be really big. I'm going to come on to the attack again shortly, but again, I do think that with the midfield, I'm not sure necessarily about overcomplicating it for this one. I think Basuma and Bentancur, like I said, that composure in possession, like we showed last week, them really working as a partnership, trying to play through the Bodo press. That's what Basuma is brilliant at when he is at his best. Press proof, so hard to get off the ball, can use his physicality to drive through as well, and Bentancur can do that as well. So I do think keeping them together to help us build out is going to be really important. And then one thing it does give you as well with these two kind of working as a bit more of a partnership in a pivot, that sort of security when you're looking to hold a lead, is that does free up Dejan Kulusevski a little bit more to do what he does best when we do bypass the press, and that is carry the ball forward. We know that he can't do what Maddison can do in build-up, dropping deep, kind of playing in those little pockets, intricate passes, dropping into left-back positions to kind of receive the ball, allowing Udogie to go forward. I do think that it does free up Kulusevski, though, to do what he does best, drive with the ball, carry. I spoke about it in my video earlier, but I would quite like to see Odegaard on that right wing, just because I think he is a potential solution for that lack of creativity without Maddison as well. I like him on the right, I like him on the left. I think his two-footed nature suits both positions, but I also think using him on the right can also mean that he can kind of drift inside and alternate with Kulusevski as well. I think one thing that we did see, which I touched on in the video earlier, is a potential to play, instead of playing Kulusevski centrally, maybe play Sarr in this midfield, kind of reshuffle it about a little bit here. And what we saw, I remember one thing I referenced in the video earlier, not to kind of go into it too much, was I referenced that Manchester City game away at the Etihad where Kulusevski played out on the right. We saw him tucking inside a lot, kind of playing as a second striker. Sarr going around the outside, Porro going around the outside when we did break through the press, using them kind of as an outlet. So that is an option, but I would quite like to see Odegaard. I think technicians, that quality, 1v1 quality in the final third is going to be important in this game. So I would lean to go with Odegaard. But again, I understand why he might go with Johnson as that kind of just an outlet on the right-hand side. I wouldn't be surprised at that. And that is how I think he will go. But yeah, I would set up with Basuma and Bentancur there. I think the back four kind of picks itself. I think Porro is going to be really important in this game too. Obviously, he's not going to have those runs in behind from Maddison, but I think his technical quality when we are trying to play out from the press on a pitch like this, kind of coming into midfield to help these guys out as well, is going to be super, super important. Front line, like I said, if Solanke is fit to start, no-brainer, picks himself. Richarlison has travelled. He is fit. Whether he starts or not, I'm not sure. If he doesn't, we're obviously a little bit light for options on that left-hand side, which is why I think he might go with Matisse Tell. I do think, though, Richarlison, again, like I said, if he is fit to play on that left-hand side, I didn't mind that in the first game, and I don't mind it again out here because he has got that experience, that ability to also win duels, be physical, impose yourself in a game that Bodo are going to be looking to do exactly that. Be a bit of an outlet for Spurs, work hard, win free kicks, break the game up. I do think his antics at times could be quite important for us in a European semi-final because, after all, that is what it is. And like I said, if Spurs do decide to go long, you've got two players that you can hit in Solanke and Richarlison. Obviously, you got that with Tell as well, but I think Richarlison's just a little bit better at that. And also, I think he's going to work hard kind of going the other way. But I do think it might be Tell just if Richarlison's fitness is on the, who knows the extent of Richarlison's kind of fitness problems. It's obviously been a worry for Spurs this whole time. But I think, like I said, for me, I would potentially go with Odegaard over Johnson. But I understand why people will go with Johnson. I do think Ange will go with him. But that is the team that I would look to play tomorrow against Bodo Glimt. That's kind of it from me. All the best. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you on Friday for a breakdown. Could be a breakdown of either kind, to be honest. If we win, it's going to be a breakdown of the game. If we lose, it's going to be a breakdown. But yeah, an opposition not to be taken lightly. This is going to be a really, really big test for Tottenham, and hopefully we come through it like we did against Frankfurt, and we are in that Europa League final. Spurs are on their way to Bilbao. Tottenham's going to do it again. Make sure to like and subscribe. This is going to be tough, really tough, but I'm backing Spurs to do it. I think we'll draw the game and we'll go through. Let me know your score predictions in the comments. Can we get to that Europa League final? Make sure to like and subscribe. Up Spurs. Come on.